Austria is one of the countries that still have slavery to this day. In 2025, they still have the mandatory military service, which is nothing but slavery. In today's video, I want to show you some pictures of the Austrian conscripts and talk about it. Austria's silent war on men. It's hard to understand how people in Austria can ignore the injustice men face with conscription. Young men are treated like their time, freedom, and lives don't matter. They are forced into months of work for the state, while women walk free without ever facing the same demands. Where is the fairness in that? What's even worse is how little anyone seems to care. Men's issues are always brushed aside, as if we were supposed to just man up and accept being treated like second-class citizens. If this were happening to women, there would be insane protests in the streets. But because it's men, it's ignored. This isn't just unfair, it's humiliating. It sends a clear message. Men don't matter. Your life doesn't matter as a man. Your dreams, your goals, your rights, they all come second because you're a man. And society doesn't just accept it, they defend it. How can a country that claims to value equality allow this to continue? It's not just a flaw in the system. It's a sign of how little respect there is for men's rights in Austria. Clownish parody and gas mask. This image shows how ridiculous and humiliating compulsory military service can be. Young men are forced to do pointless activities, wearing gas masks, squatting in a way that looks more like a joke than real training. It's a clear example of how conscription takes away people's dignity, freedom, and individuality. This should make anyone question why mandatory military service still exists. What we see here isn't any training to defend against any real danger. It's a waste of time that keeps an outdated system alive. These young men don't want to be here, and they aren't doing anything that improves their lives or help others. They are just following orders without any real purpose. How is it possible that in 21st century, people are still forced to give up their time and freedom for something like this? Conscription in Austria and anywhere else is nothing more than state-enforced slavery. It has no place in modern society that values human rights and personal freedom. It's time to say no to this senseless system. No one should be forced into the military or made to do pointless and humiliating tasks, just because they were born male in a country where military service still exists. Modern slavery in Austria. The faces of coerced youth. This photograph captures the stark reality that should belong to history books, not the present day. These young men are holding official documents, not with pride, but as symbols of their conscription, into a system that denies basic freedoms. In 2025, Austria continues to enforce mandatory military service, a policy rooted in outdated traditions of coercion and control. Conscription is often considered as a rite of passage or a service to the nation, but let's call it what it truly is: forced labor. These individuals are stripped of their right to choose their path in life, whether they dream of pursuing education, advancing their careers, or simply exploring their own potential. Those aspirations are shattered by the demands of conscription. Look into their faces. Do they look empowered? No, because conscription is humiliating, robbing individuals of autonomy. It perpetuates inequality, targeting young men exclusively, as if their freedom is more disposable than others. This system is not about defending the nation, it's about preserving outdated structures at the expense of human dignity. It's time Austria joined the modern world in abolishing conscription, embracing professional and voluntary military that respects the will of its citizens. This image captures the humiliation of Austria's conscription system. Young men are stripped of their freedom, forced into uniforms, and subjected to strict obedience. Conscription dehumanizes individuals, treating them as state property, and perpetuates gender inequality by targeting only men. It's an outdated, oppressive practice that has no place in modern democracy. Freedom and self-determination must replace forced servitude. The Austrian conscription is nothing but state-enforced slavery. Let's stop pretending. Austrian conscription isn't about duty or patriotism. It's modern-day slavery. The government forces young men to surrender months of their lives, their freedom, and their potential. All of that for a system that's outdated, unequal, and fundamentally dehumanizing. All men in Austria should be protesting against this system because it's unfair and disgusting.